Welcome to another Q&A. This is the unboxing for Radial Lite. Let's get straight into it. This one's an 18-inch. It's a very nice brush. All right, let's have a look. What do we got here? Get that off to the side. Got a little toolkit. We'll go through that. You'll notice with all Reach It brushes, they come in a reusable PET box, so you can protect your brush at all times. Right? They're a little bit too expensive to just throw around into a bucket. Right? The cardboard in there is just a spacer. You don't need that after you open. All right, so this is Radial Lite 18-inch. We have Radial Lite 14-inch, so you can get an idea of the difference. So normally you'd use a 14-inch brush on small windows, and you'd use an 18-inch brush on high windows or on wide windows. Yeah, so you get more coverage. The 18 inches, if you're working high, will give you more lateral stability with your pole. So the wider you make the brush, the more stable it is, the easier it is to control, the faster you clean. All right, I'll keep that there just in case I need it. And we designed this brush with, this is partly the work of Larry Crook and Eric Gilliand. Larry's in Connecticut and Eric is in New Zealand. And Eric has been working on the brushes with us since, 2013 or something, right? Just giving us ideas and everything. And this brush took us maybe 2 years to get into production because we had a big problem trying to work out how to make this radial stable and not collapse and predictable. So it does exactly what you want it to do every time. So, but now it's been in the market for, must be a year now. So it's a bristle brush. Its benefit is, for example, French panes. You can, with a bristle brush, you can go over the frames of French panes so you can treat them all as one window. And it's the difference between it, for example, and Radial is A, it's lighter, and B, Radial and Radial Rocker have dual
radial bristles.
Dual radial bristles. The dual radial bristles we would credit to Peter Thomas.
I'm just name dropping, you know?
Yeah, Peter Thomas in Perth, Australia. He was the first guy to put dual radial bristles into the ends, right? So the profile of light on the table, I might do that for you just so you understand the difference between radial and light. So light actually sits a little bit closer. When we shorten the bristles, so when we go from 2 rows of bristles to 1 row of bristle, we want the bristle to behave more rigid, so it's got more grab because you only get one chance at it, yeah? So whereas the Radial has 2 rows of bristles going all the way around it, right? So that's 2 lots of scratching dirt into suspension. Radial Lite only has 1 row of bristles, but it makes it a lot lighter brush by doing that, right? We use less body and less bristle, so it all ends up. And then on the inside, we have the 2 rows of bristles. So I'm going to start at this end and go backwards, Martin.
Alrighty then.
Seeing as I've started talking about them. So the 2 functions of the inside bristles are A, so that when you're working the brush and you collapse it, can you see that?
Yes.
Yep, you can collapse it. Then it doesn't collapse any more than that. This is kind of like the range of motion, so you can see the bristles stay on the glass all the time through the range of motion when you're going up and down, because the angle of the brush at the top of the window is quite different to the angle of the brush at the bottom of the window. So that has to be designed in. They're kind of pivoting on the center bristles. But the second thing is, because they're even shorter again, if you have, seagull poo or some mark or something like that, and it will be removed by bristles and water, then these bristles are shorter. Again, remember, the shorter we make the bristle, the more stiff, the more rigid it is. It's not a more rigid material, it's just shorter to make it behave more rigid. And so that has, the outer bristles are going along and scraping like this, and the inner bristles are scratching, not scratching the glass, just scratching, right, like that. So they're at 90 degrees to the glass.
Scratching the dirt.
Scratching the dirt.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what we want to say.
That's what we call
The bristle material that we use is the highest grade that we can. It's held in the brush slidably engaged, so it's not designed as a constructor brush. You can't disassemble it and reassemble it. So we wanted to make sure that we've got the highest quality bristle we can, and in order to do that, there's a steel frame in there that slides into the channels, And the melting temperature of this bristle is 230 degrees Celsius, which is like 350 Fahrenheit, I guess. But the working temperature before the bristle would start to deform is over 100 degrees Celsius. So even boiling water won't deform it. And that means over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, right?
So unless you're cleaning on Mars, you're okay.
Yeah, the guys with hot water systems, that's why I mention it, because some of the guys, use hot water. And so they want to know, can the brush handle hot water? All of the bristles are nylon, like one of the formats of nylon. And what that means, before, some of the early versions had polypropylene bristles on the inside, but polypropylene reacts to certain chemicals, and sometimes guys put chemicals in. So we thought when we have two different bristle types in the same brush, it's more difficult for somebody to go to a material chemical compatibility chart and assess whether the material would upset the composition of the bristle. So, for example, isopropyl alcohol reacts with nylon, right? But some of the other chemicals that guys might use on gutters, that would not react with nylon, but it was reacting with the PP. So we've gone to all nylon, maybe for the last 6 months, maybe 6 or 8 months.
So there's 2 rows of bristles, and one are shorter, right? And
Yep. So the shorter is so that we can do that. When we do this, we get that splay. So when you go into the corners, you need the radial effect of the bristles. It's really solid, so it goes through the corners like that, especially with water acting as a surfactant underneath, right? Then it's going through the corners like that. So these are going to dig all of the dirt out of the corners, all the spider nests, the spider webs, right? And then we're going to take them down. So that in real terms, it's going to look like this. You're going to come across the top of the window into the corner. You're going to jiggy it in the corner. Peter Thomas calls it the jiggy.
Jiggy.
And then you're going to turn the brush to its side. The water is going to come out over the edges, so it's going to flush the corner. And then you're going to go down the side of the frame, right? And then all the water it's going to come from the jets. It's going to land on the glass. It's going to fall down the glass, land on the bristles, and then it won't go through the brush. It'll run across the top of the brush, and so you get this massive flow of whatever your flow rate is, right?
So basically, they when you push the brush harder towards the glass, the inner bristle will agitate.
Yeah. So if you really needed to agitate, you come across some seagull poo. There's some techniques on that. You kind of wet it first if you can. If you see it coming, make sure you squirt it with some water so that it gets a chance to soften up before you get to it. But short of that, you just want to have something a little bit more where you can just push it straight at it and scratch it off, So once we've got the bristles covered, we probably come back to the water supply system. So again, Radial Lite is available as a high flow brush and as a low flow brush. So it'll be supplied as a low flow brush as a standard. So you'll see an 8/8 or a 5/16 push fit here, right? But if you're already using a number of Reach It brushes, you may love the 1/2 gallon a minute flow rate. It does make you work faster. So if you have a 1/2 gallon a minute flow rate and you're using something like high flow tube, which is a 3/8 inch OD tube, outer diameter or 10 millimeter, then you can take this push fit off here.
On the brass fitting, right?
Yeah, but this time my little filter is stuck in there. So that's why we give you
A replacement.
a second one. Not
Oh, yeah.
even a replacement, because we just need this one in here. So there's a little filter in every light and ultralight brush this size, tiny, and its job is to sit in here into the brass, and then we can put the push fit over it. You got that?
I got it.
Then we put the push fit on, and now we have a 10 millimeter high flow 3/8 inch OD tube input into the brush. So then we can have high flow rinse bars. So we have high flow and low flow rinse bars.
You show me the rinse bars there?
Yeah, sure.
There they are.
Yep.
Cool.
So anybody who's typically a reach it user would always get a high flow brush because you already got all of your hydraulic system, your fluid dynamic system is already set up for half gallon a minute, 2 liters per minute flow rate. So that means that you don't need to change it. However, if you do find that from time to time you would like to have had a low flow rate brush so that the water squirts further, that's basically what will happen with the same construction. Or you're already an 8mm 5/16 tube user and you don't want to upgrade to the better tube, then you can use the low flow rate. I don't know if I said that very well, but I think the gist is there, right?
Is it the same anodized aluminum block and end caps as the ultralight or different?
Yeah, or it's the different size as ultralight. I've got an ultralight here, right? So ultralight is this size and light is this size. Ultralight can't go over French panes, cut-ups, that kind of thing, because there's a block inside. So that's where you would use light. And
it's a scrub inside the ultralight. Yeah.
Yes, scrub inside the ultralight, but there's a block there.
Yeah.
So it's going to catch on the frames, right? Whereas these bristles will fold as they go over the frames, yeah? So, and the construction is aluminum. So that gives you, really long-lasting brush, long-lasting bristles, long-lasting jets, and we have end caps. These end caps on this one are a hard plastic, and we actually, maybe by the end of April 2022, we'll have polyurethane end caps. So the difference is if you drop this brush, on its end, with your pole, falling, right, the chances are that this plastic will actually crack. But the new ones
it need to be really high.
Yeah, it's got to be high. It's not gonna break when you're using it. It only breaks if you drop it. But anyway, because these molds are not easy for us to make. There's some complications in getting the material right. So we think by the end of April 2022 we should be able to have polyurethane end caps available for you. So that's that. Then we come back. So we want to talk about the swivel function. The swivel we call this the pivot, and the pivot is made with stainless steel and brass. You'll find most of the swivels on the market are just plastic on plastic, so they wear down, and then they get sloppy, then you lose your precision and accuracy, then you're taking more time basically. You just don't enjoy the brush so much, and you don't work it as accurately. So we put stainless steel and brass into this section here. Some guys like the brush, fairly firm, but in your toolkit, we give you a hex head screwdriver, let's say, and you can change the tension just by opening and closing that. You can change the tension to exactly what you want. I know some guys love it loose, and other guys love it tighter. I'm going to say that.
Do you have more control if it's more tight?
It depends. It's a really good question. One of the reasons why you would want it tight is that, let's say you're going over a garage or a garage, and there's a window sitting up there, and you've got your pole at this angle and set down, and you want to place it on the glass before you apply force, right? So you don't want it flopping all over the place, right? You just want to place it on the glass, then you can move it up and down and clean that window. It's a difficult to clean window. So that's one of the reasons why you'd have it tight. Some guys like it tighter than other guys, but I think that's really how much you get used to it and whether you try it looser, because there's an agility that comes with the looseness. Like it's just, it's like kung fu.
Yeah, it's not just loose and tight. It's everything in between, depending on how tight you pull it.
Yes,
yeah.
you can exactly set it the way you want it. So it's a very good feature, because the more agile you are, the more you whip it around. Because you can clean the inside. You can clean the insides of the frames, the parts of the frame that are perpendicular to the glass. You can clean those all the way around. Once you actually understand how this pivot works.
Can you show me how deep it goes, Swivel? If you show me, like how much
here?
Yes, okay.
So yeah, it's got a really big range, yeah.
So it could be a very long vertical window, basically, that is very small, that you can use that for. Like this?
You would normally, you could angle it, you know, and bring it down like this, but you would normally go to a smaller brush.
Oh, okay.
And you've got more control with a smaller brush on a smaller window than you'll ever have with a bigger brush in a bigger window. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Then we come to the swivel and where the brush fits into the pole. So this fitting here is a standard reach it fitting. There's a non-rotational locking notch there, and that fits into the clamp slot in the reach it clamp, so that stops the brush from spinning. However, if you do not have a reach it pole, then the chances are that you would have a pole which has a pole tip that's tapered. It's kind of like this shape, and the thread is going like this. And that is a standard Euro thread pole tip. And so you can order any of the reach it brushes with a Euro thread female here. Yeah. If you have over 8, Gardner, Tucker, then this area here, the teeth mechanism, that's identical to them. And so you would, whatever gooseneck you have now for your Tucker brush, Gardner brush, or whatever, you would leave this part with your pole because it's already designed to fit your pole. And then you would undo the lever until the bolt comes out, and then you would attach the Radial Lite and then do the lever up again. And the lever and the teeth mechanism are both compatible with those brands. So that means that you can actually buy this. If you buy a Gardner Tucker, we'll send you the Euro thread tip as female.
You can just select it in the web store if you go there.
Yeah, so any of the reach it brushes will have exactly the same function for a Tucker Gardner, but the beauty is if you order Tucker Gardner, you'll get this ability here, and you'll get a Euro female thread just in case you've got a pole tip.
So you can fit any pole basically.
Yeah, basically the design is that you can reach it with any pole. Yeah, so you can buy, one of the things, maybe we didn't talk about this, is you can buy Radial Lite as high flow, you can buy Radial Lite as low flow, or you can buy Radial Lite as low flow with high flow blades. Yeah. So if you're not sure or you want the choices, then at point of purchase, you can actually select that you want both of the rinse bars, but only one will be fitted. And if you wanted to change them out, it's actually really simple with this brush. So we give you a little hex tool because this is 3mm hex tool, and in the States you guys don't have millimeters. So you would just undo the end cap, from there, and then pull the rinse bar straight out, and then push the new rinse bar straight in. Make sure you keep an eye on the orientation. There's a little lug here for orientation. And put the left one where the left one should go and the right one where the right one should go, and you are away and ready to clean windows.
Faster.
Better.
Safer.
All right, I think that covers it.
I mean, if you guys have any questions, just comment below. And if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe, and you will get a notification.
Yeah, and ask us any question, because we like giving most of the Q&As are only 4 to 9 minutes.
Yeah,
that kind of length. But these unboxing ones, we want to make sure that you've got everything that you need to be able to make a wise decision to get yourself a radial brush.
And you go to which page on YouTube?
The YouTube channel and all of the Q&As are at youtube.com/future of cleaning, all one word. All right, I think it does it.
Right.
See you on the next one.